Hey guys, Mark with the Dog Trainer here. Today we're going to do a quick review video of the Hertzko Pet Dremel. I'm going to put links in the video description, so feel free to check those out. I'm actually going to put two different models in there. The first one is going to be this one here that's a little bit cheaper and it does not have an LED light on it, where the slightly more expensive model is a little newer and it does have an LED light. That's really the main difference between the two. So feel free to check those out if you're interested. So now, as far as this Dremel goes, it was given to me as a gift maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And at the time, I only had 2 dogs. So I was really using this on and off for maybe 5 or 6 years. Then as time went on, I accumulated quite a few more pets. So now I have 5 dogs. And a couple weeks ago, I decided it was time to switch to a more powerful Dremel that had a little bit more versatility for different dog sizes and nail shapes and things like that. So if you're looking for a more professional, heavy-duty Dremel, I'm going to add a video link up top to a different review video of me reviewing the newer Dremel that I switched to. But if you think that, a less serious one is a better starting point for you, then obviously feel free to hang out for this video. So let's get to it. So we're going to quickly run through all the pros first, and then we'll run through all the cons. So the first major advantage of this is that it's cheap. Like, it's very cheap, especially in comparison to the newer one that I bought. Now, I look at this as more of like an introductory Dremel that, maybe we're not sure if our dog is going to be open to the Dremel, or maybe we're not sure if we may prefer to use clippers with them. Maybe we're not very confident in our ability to Dremel our dog's nails. So if you don't want to spend a bunch of money just to find out that this is not the route you want to take, this might be a better starting point for you. Now, again, there's always kind of pros and cons to, you get what you pay for. So it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles or flexibility, but like I said, might be right for some people. Now, moving on to the next thing is that it's actually a very quiet Dremel, which, I'm going to talk in more depth in another video and even later in this video on introducing Dremels to dogs. But some dogs can get really spooked out by the sound of an engine or the motor. So the fact that it's quiet can definitely be helpful for dogs that are, a little bit timid around this type of stuff. Now, moving on to the next thing, I kind of am going to start by explaining the con, which is that this is a pretty slow moving Dremel. Like, it's not super powerful. And even though that definitely can be a disadvantage, if you're not someone who's super comfortable in using a Dremel, it's probably better to be using one that's not super powerful, because it just makes it a little bit of a safer application for your dog. Where if you don't know what you're doing, it's going to give you a lot more time to recognize, like, hey, maybe I'm cutting this nail too short. Where if you're using one that's really powerful, you would be surprised how quickly you can really get through that nail, and you might accidentally hit your dog's quick with, before you even recognize that you're cutting the nail too short. So, so there might be an advantage to this being a little bit of a slower moving Dremel. Now, the next thing that I like is that we can charge it with a USB. I believe it holds charge up to 2.5 hours, at least when it's brand new. Now, I don't know, I haven't looked around at too many different Dremel models, but if it was like a corded one that had to be plugged into a wall, I would imagine it'd be pretty difficult if you had a dog that was, really moving around and the cords getting wrapped around them and stuff like that. So to me, battery powered is definitely the way to go, because it can be hard enough Dremeling our dog's nails, depending on which dog we're trying to do. Now, the next thing that I really like about it is that it's lightweight. It's small. I kind of keep comparing it to an electric toothbrush, where my new one is definitely really, really powerful and kind of heavy duty, but it's big and bulky. So if you have a smaller dog, it might be nice to have a kind of a smaller Dremel that you can really work around the different nooks and crannies. If you have like weak hand and finger strength, it might be easier for you to use something that's a little less bulky. Now, the last thing that I like about it is that it does come with a safety guard, technically marketed to small, medium, and large. So we've got the guard for a small nail on the front, the medium nail on the top, and then you could remove the guard altogether for large nails. And, you know, you could probably cut most nails with this Dremel, but there might be some limitations. I know my one dog, just the shape of his nail is just kind of strange. So I always have trouble getting a nice even cut on his nails with this particular Dremel because it only comes with this bit, where the new one that I have, there's different attachments you can put on it depending on, you know, what you're trying to accomplish. But it is nice for people that aren't super confident in what they're doing to have the safety guard, you know, that's adjustable. Now, moving into the, you know, kind of cons of this is that, okay, so I said that it's basically only has one setting. It's either turned on or it's turned off. And the one setting that it has is not super powerful. So it's a really slow moving Dremel. Now, like I said earlier, that could be an advantage in some instances, but if you're trying to get this done quickly, or you kind of know what you're doing, or you've got a dog with a really big nail that you're really trying to take a lot off, this is going to take a little bit longer to do that. And when it comes to introducing Dremels to dogs, you know, it's kind of weird that there are some temperaments that do better with a faster, intense setting because you touch it and it just Dremels off a whole bunch very quickly and it's kind of over with very fast. And then there's other temperaments that do a little bit better with something that's really soft and gentle because they can kind of wrap their head around that feeling a little bit easier. So the downside to this Dremel is it only has one setting. So depending on your dog's temperament and sensitivity to this type of stuff, you might be a little limited on what that introduction is like. Now, I already kind of alluded to this, that you might be a little bit limited on bigger dogs' nails. I would probably more so say that this is for small, medium, and some large dogs. But if you've got large and extra large dogs, you're probably better off going with something that's a little bit more serious. Now, the last real downside to this particular Dremel is that we cannot replace the Dremel bit itself. So it comes with what they call, I believe they call it like a diamond bit that after looking it up, it's kind of equivalent to like a low grit sandpaper. Now, unfortunately, as time goes on, the more that you use it, it kind of dulls out and becomes less effective. So unfortunately, you know, as it gets more and more dull, you're not going to be able to switch out the replace with a new one. And again, another advantage and versatility of my more powerful one is that they have different shaped tips that you can put on, again, depending on what your dog's nail is like. So this one, you know, is pretty much all you're going to get. So that is pretty much everything that I can think of that I would have liked to have known if I were shopping around for this. So as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.